Welcome to the Kenny Hack. Hello and thanks for joining me. I'm going to be doing another video here. It's kind of been a little while. Summer's kind of starting to creep back in here in my home state. So my video output's probably going to be dropping down a little bit. Still try to throw out a few videos here and there during the summer, but summer's kind of going to be my off season. For this video, we're going to be going over how I printed out this photo image onto the edge of a book. If you're just starting to get into this hobby, there's probably a couple things you're going to want to make that'll kind of help to make the process a lot easier and faster to do. The first thing is you're going to want to figure out a way to kind of hold your pages up as you're folding and just kind of get them out of the way. And for that, I made up this little jig here. It's kind of just made out of some scrap woods. It's about 12 inches wide, 18 inches deep. Has a couple towers on the side with some holes drilled in them, some holes in the back. They're kind of holding these dowels, and that's just kind of a book stop to keep the book from sliding backwards. I'll have a little quick clip of showing how this thing is used. I just made this out of scraps laying around my shop. It was just something quick to throw together, but it does work fairly well. For this project, I had to do what was called a 180 fold, where the whole front edge of the book is folded back approximately about 3/8 of an inch, just short of the text in the pages. So you get a nice clean white front edge, and it kind of doubles the thickness of the pages. So it gives you a little more body to work with if you're going to laser it. So to make that folded edge easier, get yourself like a little plastic ruler like these. You can get them at the dollar store or the Hobby Lobbies and craft stores, pretty cheap. And you're going to want to glue on little chunks of balsa wood on the bottom side to act as like a page hook. Like here you can see I got little 1-inch chunks glued in at the 0 line, and another 1.5-inch piece glued in at about 6.5 to 8 inches out. And those will hopefully make your 180 fold very uniform and make for a nice clean front edge. Now the first one of these I made, I had the balsa glued all the way across the back like this shows here, and I found that can kind of cause problems. If it's not perfectly square, you can kind of get a pivot point in the middle. It'll make for uneven folds, so it actually worked better just to have the little 1-inch sections at the very start, and right around 6 to 8 inches would probably hook onto most books you're going to be using. And I was able to get a lot better result with that style than one like this that had the balsa wood all the way across the back. You're also going to need some kind of scoring tool to make your scribe line across the ruler, and that'll be where you fold the edge back. What I found that worked for me is just this center punch. It's got a metal point, but it's not so sharp that it cuts the paper very easy. And pretty much just pulling the center punch across the paper with its own weight was heavy enough to score the paper without cutting it. Here's a little segment showing how to score each page, fold it back, and then tuck it up into the jig. I'll just do a couple pages here. It's pretty self-explanatory on how to do it. What you really got to make sure of is that you're keeping that front edge of the book pretty vertically square. You don't want the pages to start sliding out on you and kind of forming a wedge shape. That'll start to get your fold a little bit off. So always make sure you're keeping that front edge vertically square as much as you can, and that'll greatly improve your accuracy of your 180 folds. This is what I'm kind of talking about. As you get down towards the end of the book, the front edge will really start to slide out on you and start forming that wedge shape. And then your marks will start getting just a little bit more off all the time. So you really want to keep pushing that front edge back. And that's what them pegs are for in the back of the book, is just kind of a stop. So you can kind of keep it pushed square. About 300 pages per hour is about what I can fold these at. So you can do a fairly big book in a reasonable amount of time. Here's a quick look at my demo book. This was my first try at doing an image on the folded edge. You can see here like how uneven my pages got. I was trying different tools out and different techniques to try to get that folded edge more consistent. And it kind of ended up causing problems with the final result of the image. All them changes in the page edge really made it an uneven photo. You can see here with this book that I'm going to be using, kind of using that technique I was showing you, it turned out with a really uniform 180 fold. Here's kind of how I prop my book up. I put it in this C-clamp and just kind of slightly squeeze it down. I squeezed it down till it was about 62 millimeters wide, and just get my height adjusted to where I need to be, and it just kind of holds everything square. For this project, I wanted the pages kind of ruffled, so I kind of wanted the book opened up a little bit. If I'm just cutting in an outline, I usually put these little squeeze clamps on both sides of the book and squeeze it as tight as I can get it to burn in the outline. But for this project, I kind of figured I wanted the finished size to be about 4 inches wide, as shown here, and so that's kind of how I scaled my photograph in GIMP to end up with a final width of 4 inches. Here we are in GIMP. I've already got the photo with all the background deleted out and saved as a PNG file. I'm just going to get it rescaled to the size I want, and this was a very small, low resolution photo. I wish I could have got a better one, but this is just a good photo I got of some friend's wedding image, so I was going to give it a try. Went to scale image, set it to 636 dpi, and I set the width to 4 inches and just let the height scale to whatever it was. The 4 inches is what was important. From there, I just exported this as a PNG. You have to make sure you keep it as a PNG so all that background stays erased. Now we imported that into Lightburn. You can see the red box in the background. That represents my front edge of my book, and that's 62 millimeters tall by 207 millimeters wide. And that I had my book set up to where the laser would frame around that to kind of make sure my book is orientated under the laser properly. And then from there, I'll scale the image to fit into that box. Now I got everything rotated to the side because I burn on the y-axis vertically, and I wanted the laser to be going across the pages, not vertical with the pages. So once I had the laser set up over the box, I went to the image and I rescaled it down. This was the 4 inch by 5 inch, and now you have to unlock the image. You want to maintain, it's like 5 inches wide now, but I wanted to squeeze that 4 inches, which was like 101 millimeters, and I'm going to change that to 60. Now it'll be fit inside my red box. So the burned image is going to be compressed to what it is final, but we're hoping when the book opens back up to 4 inches or the 101 millimeters, everything will be back into proportion and it'll look correct. Here's what I used for my image adjustments. I found on my demo piece that it come out a little too light. Most of the dress didn't show up. Most of his arm sleeve didn't show up. So I wanted to push every little more to the middle on this one. So I raised the gamma up to 1.4, put the contrast at -30, brightness at 10, 50, and 100 and 0 on the enhancements. And it was just a guess. I really wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. Overall, final product, I do think it come out a tad bit dark, but I'd rather be a little too dark than a little too light. Here's kind of what the image looked like after the enhancements. Here are my laser settings: 4,000 millimeters per minute, 77.5% power. I was on the 90-degree scan angle, 318 DPI, which if you watch my videos, you know I double my DPI in GIMP and then cut it in half in Lightburn when I'm using the newsprint dither. So everything should be ready to go. It's showing here in the preview that it's only going to take about 17 minutes to burn this image onto the book. Here's a little video of the laser in action. Now when this was burning in, I was kind of worried. I thought it looked a little too dark. But you also have to remember that the image is compressed down, so it should look a little bit darker. Like when the book opens back up, everything's going to naturally get a little bit lighter than what it appears right here. So I wasn't really sure if I was going too dark or if it was going to work out okay. So it was kind of just a blind shot here at it. And as you can see, I was really happy with how it turned out. I mean, it's a little rough in detail. It's not going to be perfect going across all these ruffled edges. But overall, I was really happy with how it turned out. Way better than my first sample. You can really see their face detail very well. And kind of the only thing worried about now is you got to be careful not to touch that image. That stuff is really sooty, and it'll smear and get soot all over the front cover. So had to figure out a way to try to seal in the image. And what I like to use is this Kamar varnish made by Krylon. I usually get it at Hobby Lobby. I think there probably is other stores you can get it at. Any place that sells Krylon probably does carry this stuff. And I seem to like it. It works very well on any burned image. It doesn't seem to dissolve the soot as much as some other brands I've tried. Like some of them, you can spray it on there and all of the image will just kind of dissolve away. It just kind of, all the soot just melts into the sealant. So all I did was spray on about 3 different coat applications on this and kind of blow dry in between each layer, and just hoping I get enough of it applied onto there that'll kind of be somewhat resistant to just a slight light touch. I still wouldn't ever recommend that you really smear hard across the image, or it will probably smudge it. You can also see I wrapped the edges in paper towels. That's just to protect the cover from the paint. I hope, like, whoever, if you make a book like this for somebody, hopefully they're a little more artistic than me and can make a nice book cover for this that kind of matches the theme of the image. But for me, I was just trying to get a nice lasered on photo. I'll leave the book decorating to them if they want to decorate the album cover a little bit more. As you can see, it looks like it's kind of holding up to a casual brushing. Like I said, nothing heavy. And here it is, kind of the final image. Kind of want to stick around here. I'm going to kind of show off a bunch of other different book designs I've made. Kind of give you an idea of different kind of styles that you can do. If you're really going to want to get into book folding, I suggest you watch a bunch of other more videos. And they'll show you all the different styles of how to fold them. And, you know, there's some that are recessed into the pages. Some of them where the image is sticking out of the folded edge. And I'm still pretty new to book folding. I don't really know all the terminology yet for all the different kind of folds. They got names for kind of everything. But like I said, some of these were made traditionally where you measure out each page and then cut them and fold them in. Them first 3 were all done the traditional method. All these last ones were done with lasering in the front edge. And you can see you can make very sharp lines using the laser. I'm in some book folding forums and had some people compliment me on how sharp the folded edges are and how crisp the lines are on them. You know, it usually probably takes somebody quite a while to get pretty proficient and exact on how well they can fold the book. I mean, using the laser is kind of cheating, but some people in the forums are super excited about it. You know, it's something new, kind of bringing some new technology to this book folding craft. But, you know, there's traditionalists that say, well, that's kind of cheating. But, you know, it's a tool I have access to. And it's definitely really got me more interested into the hobby. It was like the first ones I did were just kind of fun to do. But this has kind of really opened it up to a little quicker and more fun to do. Well, thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, might be a little more spaced out in between videos during summer here, but if I come up with anything new or some fun project, I'll try to work it into my summer schedule, and we'll see you on the next one.